Welcome back, guys. It's still Ladies Lounge, and you've got the Uganda special. So we've got our queens here. It's Shamim still. You're here with Claudia and also Winnie. Now, we started with a very light-hearted topic, and we shared a lot of things that we've all felt, and we stuck to no secrets, yes, privacy. Okay. Now, we're going to get into something a bit more on the serious side, something a lot more, I guess. Ooh, you know when we talk about culture, it gets sensitive. So we're going to get into something a bit more sensitive, but it's topics like this that are very necessary, and we felt it necessary to talk about it, and we might get uncomfortable, but you know what? Those are the spaces that we need to push ourselves into. We don't have to be comfortable all the time. So we came across this question about breast pounding.
And here it is. The question is, breast pounding or breast ironing in teenage girls is still a practice in some parts of Africa. Now the question is this: is it time for some cultural acts to be erased? First of all, to help our viewers who are probably thinking like I thought when I first got this question, what on earth is breast pounding? What is breast ironing? Shamim, help us answer that.
It was the first time all of us had heard of it. We had no idea. So asking my little friend with Wikipedia, this is what they said. Breast ironing, also known as breast flattening, is the pounding and massaging of a pubescent girl's breasts using hard or heated objects to try and make them stop developing or disappear. I know what you're thinking. For people that have never heard of it, you're thinking that sounds brutal. Wow. And it's when you say girl, it wasn't even a woman. Girl. So we had a lot of questions, and so many things go through your mind. And we talked about this, and we started on a high, right? Yeah. We talked about it, and we were all very like, what? And then at the end of the topic, we were all very drained because it genuinely affects you because you're talking about children.
Yeah.
Because it is children. They're 10 and above, because going into the teenage years. So it's emotional because we're women as well. It's that much closer to home because we're coming from that age and we're growing up. But you're talking about a vulnerable age whereby you don't get to decide things, and you come into a situation and you have to go with the flow up until you're old enough to then, decide for yourself. So,
and we were finding out, what were some of the reasons? Why did they do this?
So ultimately, when I looked into it, Wikipedia did say that it started in Cameroon, which is Central Africa. And what the essential purposes of this is to kind of protect young girls from sexual abuse, so being raped and harassment of the sexual nature. So they were trying to protect them in that way, so that
by making them less attractive, supposedly?
Apparently, by making them less desirable and less attractive to the perpetrators.
That disturbs me because, for me, these young girls are not the issue. However, the energy that's being used to change them before they're potential victims, before they even become a victim, that energy should be used to raise boys and men so that they are treating women properly.
And before we continue on that point, I just want to point out that we don't want to be judgmental on anyone's culture because we're Ugandan, people coming from different parts of the world. So this is not a show to be judgmental on specific cultures, but it's something because in the papers, in the news, you find where we've migrated to these countries, and actually now things like breast pounding or breast ironing is not just specific to Africa, but because of migration, these things are now within the UK, and because the cultures or with the communities that we have moved into don't understand this, and because within our communities it's not openly discussed, they're having to come up with laws to try and police this. And we're asking the question, should some of these culture practices be erased because of our maybe unwillingness to talk about topics like this willingly, that the outsiders are now having to come in, and as far as they're concerned, not everything culture, we're going to put a law out here, you can't do this, including the good. So when we ask the question, should this be erased, why do you think we're even having this conversation? Because some of us have grown up within the UK and we didn't even know about this. Why did we not know about this?
You're only going to come across it if you have a friend or someone else that raises the alarm bells, or whether you have an auntie, like for in our culture, the Senga, that teaches you, like you're basically exposed to it. It's something that you're not going to come across on a normal day, which is bad. To answer the question, in short, I think yes, some cultural practices need to be erased. However, I still feel like they should be talked about. So, for instance, for me, I wouldn't like any of these practices to be practiced amongst my daughter or any women that I know. However, I'd still educate them so that they are mentally aware of the things that are happening in the world, because you can't protect them from ever coming across it, because you can't control what people say to them.
It is very true. I think when we think about most of these things, because when I did do some research, a lot of these practices in India, most of them were, it's like, most of them, they were kind of put in place to protect, as we said, the people that they saw as vulnerable, like, the women. However, it's almost like you take the responsibility away from the person that is causing harm, and then you put it onto the person that is likely to be harmed, and you're telling them to lessen themselves to avoid this person then coming to cause them harm, which is a very backwards way of thinking if we're talking about 2019. If we're talking about when it started, I have no idea. I can't speak for those people because they were going through things that I can't even relate to right now. But if I'm talking about right now, if these things are correct, why are they then not practiced in the open? Why are you having to hide? Why do you have secret places where you take these young people and do these things for them? If it's so correct and you feel like it should still be practiced in a way that no one should be judging you, why are you doing that? So I feel like those questions also have to be asked. I think when I looked it up, like I said, I saw other practices. Like in India, there's this tribe known as, they're called Tani. And apparently their women were some of the most beautiful women on the land. And a lot of men from other tribes used to come and actually kidnap them. So what they did, obviously, in the time of that thinking, they went ahead and decided to make their women less attractive and less desirable, so that when people came to kidnap them, they would look at them and think, no thanks. So they decided to get these plates that they used to insert in their nostrils. Honestly, when I tell you, it worked. Because when I went onto those Google images, I looked and I was like, oh no. And you could tell these women were beautiful, but they did everything that they could to make them less attractive. You could come and find her. If you had the plan to take her, you would leave her where you found her because she doesn't look like what you thought she would look like. And that was banned later on by the Indian government. So it's like, clearly there was an update, an upgrade, or some sort of an update whereby people then realize, okay, no, that doesn't work for us anymore. That doesn't, it's not really.
It doesn't promote self-love.
It doesn't at all.
In a time where everyone's talking about self-love, and especially with women, learning how to love yourself, and that doesn't promote that.
And there's going to be viewers looking at us and thinking, there goes those London girls. These Ugandan London girls don't know nothing about nothing. Don't come up in here telling us how we should live our lives. These cultures have been here long before you came along. There's that group of people saying that. Are we looking at this in the eyes of, or in the lens of 2019? And actually one would say, look, if you went way back then and you're the mother and some man just kidnapped your first girl, took the next one, and all the mothers come and sit down and think, right, what can we do? I know what, let's make these girls less attractive. And by the way breast pounding or ironing was done, they would take like a stone, a hot stone, and they will warm it up. And would massage and rub down the girl's breast and also put a strap. Now, the way we describe it, I'm thinking horror movies here.
Yeah.
But if you were back there,
it was normal.
It was normalized. Like it wasn't a big deal. Are we looking at it in that sense and we're revolted by it? And when we say should it be erased, are we sensitive of what the intent for what it was done? I was saying, let's find different vehicles to continue. The intent was good, but maybe the vehicle back then that was used is no longer a vehicle that should be used now. And actually that vehicle or that means is now against the law. And based on that, let's keep the intent, but find another way to protect our girls.
And what you said before, people looking at us and thinking, oh, you're westernized now. You've been there a long time. Clearly, I can tell you now that when I grew up in Uganda, I was in boarding school. Yeah. As a young child, to be honest, Shemim then, it's not that much different from Shemim now, I'll tell you that. Simply because when I was in boarding school, there were some practices that did not make sense to me, with girls in the dormitory. And they'll tell you, you have to do this before you hit this age and you have to do. I used to ask questions because guess what? I didn't understand. And if you couldn't explain to me to a point where I was comfortable with what you were saying and I was satisfied that it made sense, I'm not doing it with you. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. And that was before I came here. So until now, if you can't explain something to me that makes sense and I can see, okay, I see, and I can't see that there's another way we could do that. So let's do this until we fight. We're not doing that. And another thing, we're talking about children.
Yeah, children.
When it comes to children,
I think you have to
I
be
don't compromise.
sensitive.
I can't. If there's another way that we can do something that is beneficial for a child or protects the child without harming them, we're going to do that before we do something that harms them. So I can't sit down and negotiate hurting children to protect them from adults.
No way.
It doesn't
make
at all
sense.
make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense. And that being said, we have a culture in Uganda that I only came across recently, and it's not our tribe. It's actually the Banyankole tribe. And apparently for them, your auntie must sleep with your fiance, husband, before you get married. See, I won't get married, you know.
See,
You know, we need a mixture, right?
we
We
will
need
be
a mixture
fighting in the
for this
bedroom.
right here.
Yeah, but it just goes to show, how can you justify that? It's culture. I must let my auntie sleep with my husband because it's culture.
you can keep him. You can keep him
Because
because
stuff on next man.
You
Yeah,
have
moving
to,
on.
You have to break it down to me and let me understand before I'm.
you can keep my husband. I don't need to be
Yeah,
here. I'm sorry. Let me excuse you so you lot can enjoy
And how
yourself.
is your husband comfortable with you?
And then you kind of come and touch me.
Ladies, you need to calm down. Look, we're almost out of time. And the question was, should some of these cultural practices be erased? And what we're saying is, you know, we respect our culture and we love our culture.
100%.
The intent was good. But in this day and age, we are more developed and we can find different means to still be able to have kind of execute the same intent. But some of the vehicles that are being used should definitely be erased.
Amen.
100%. Thank you guys so much for having us. We have been the Ugandan special for Ladies Lounge. We've had so much fun. I don't really want to go. But I mean, thank you so much. We've had so much fun and the topics have been great. We feel like an open space for some serious discussions that need to be had within our community. All the details will be on the screen. Make sure to keep in touch with us. And yeah, wherever.